I'm at the Happy Dance stand where I'm having conversations with EB and TA leaders on the future of storytelling in the era of AI. It's my pleasure to have a chat with my friend Erin Mathew. Erin, it's actually wonderful to see you.
It's wonderful to see you in person for the first time in, I don't know how many years we've known each other online.
At least a decade.
At least a decade.
Yeah, great to meet. We met for the first time today, which is a real pleasure. Erin, for the folks who don't know you, can you quickly introduce yourself? Who are you? What it is you do?
Yeah, I am Erin Mathew. I am a senior talent intelligence researcher at Centene, and that is a recent sort of career pivot for me. I've been in sourcing for the past decade, and now I've made the leap to talent intelligence, and that's actually what my talk was about today.
Yeah, how did your talk go? I'm sorry I missed it.
It was really well received. I think that a lot of sourcers are kind of in a similar headspace to where I was 8 months ago, because I think it's no secret that the sourcing job postings are becoming so few and far between. There's a lot of companies that are sort of phasing out the function, and they're putting the responsibility of sourcing candidates on recruiters. And there's, kind of a lot of debate as to how effective that is. But kind of the natural parlay is to be able to take the knowledge that you have as a sourcer and elevate that and package it in a way that is compelling for executives to be able to make hiring decisions and influence those as well. So that's the new frontier for me.
No, really interesting. And a lot of the sourcing skills that you've developed expertise in is kind of directly applicable to what you do now, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Identifying talent pools, monitoring market sentiment, and, human intelligence, open source intelligence, first party data for, HR analytics and things like that as well. It's really just taking what you already know as a sourcer and elevating it to the next level. And the title of my talk was going from finder to forecaster. And that's really what it is in one line.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. What is the impact of the kind of employer brand when you're, targeting some of these senior execs? Is employer brand that important at senior level compared to mid-level? It is even also?
Yes. I can't tell you the number of times that I've talked to a high-level executive that ultimately chose our employer for their next role over a higher pay scale because, the type of work or, the ethics of the company meant a lot more to them at that point in their career. So it does matter. And, that's why a lot of my job also includes social listening. And I guess there's a critical nature of it to be able to have that kind of insight into the market, into what are the candidates really saying?
Yeah.
It's not what the polished reviews are on the careers page. What's the good, the bad, and the ugly?
Yeah, absolutely. And you've always been, even in your sourcing days, like pretty much plugged in inhabitant of the internet, haven't you?
Yes.
So into Reddit, into places like this. And of course, these are also the places where conversations are happening about your brand.
They are.
And companies may be completely oblivious to them because they're not usually present.
Yes. So in my earlier days of sourcing, I was, spending hours on end in the deep forums of the internet, like in places like Reddit and Discord, to figure out what people of certain professions were saying. And, now in the AI age, it can be a little bit easier to synthesize some of those sentiments that are coming out of those forums. A lot of times when I want to gain insights about a certain company, I will write prompts that say, identify the top 3 positive and negative sentiments being said by employees on the forums of Reddit, Fishbowl, Comparably, Indeed. I've got an entire list that I include in my prompt for this. But I will say that with a caveat. You do want to make sure that you're independently validating those as well, because, I think that we all know that AI hallucinates. We know that it's not a perfect system, but it has been a great tool for synthesis of larger opinions across the web.
Yeah, and there's also a concept that, you can try and game the LLM to a degree by, either poisoning the information source or flooding it with certain types of narrative. On one half of me thinks that's maybe it's an employer branding strategy to try and do that. On the other hand, it's also, how do you make sure you also maintain a very authentic voice so that when people come to corroborate, they've got the narrative that is true to your business.
Yeah.
How do you think that affects how companies show up on their own like career pages and stuff like that? What should they do more of in this AI-enabled world?
Gosh, just be more human. I think that we're all bombarded by a lot of AI slop content, unfortunately, and it's getting very easy to tell, I think.
You've got an intuition about it.
You've got an intuition about it, and I think that's at some point people want the grit. I would liken a lot of AI content to a chocolate chip cookie. I use this analogy quite a lot. So we've got a fresh made, scratch made chocolate chip cookie. It's delicious. It's maybe not perfect, but you can almost taste that, the love and care that went into it. And everybody around you makes it different in their own way. And they're all good in their own ways as well. I liken an AI cookie to like Toll House cookie dough that you buy at the store. Yes, it resembles a cookie and everything that you know about a chocolate chip cookie, but you can taste the artificialness in it and you can tell that there wasn't a lot of work put into it. So that's really the best analogy that I can make is to employers is be the homemade chocolate chip cookie. Don't be the Toll House bread. I probably shouldn't mention brands on here, but that's fine.
No, but I totally would know what you mean. And sometimes that means like not being perfect.
Right,
It's
exactly.
having a few rough edges. And that's exactly what people are maybe looking for.
Yeah.
Gives people a sense of authenticity. Okay, final two questions for you, Erin. Let's imagine a careers page is a profile on a dating app. What would be a red flag that gets you to swipe away immediately? What kind of things, if you saw it, you thought, no chance I'm ever applying to that job, to that business?
If any of their job descriptions say you have to wear many hats, that just means you're going to do multiple jobs for one salary.
Very good. Well, what would be a green flag?
A green flag. This is an interesting one. It doesn't apply to me anymore because I'm done having kids, but if they have generous parental leave or like elderly care leaves for employees, that's usually a pretty good sign to me that they offer that as a benefit.
Yeah, very, very good. Okay, final question. 2026 coming down the pipe, 3 months away. What advice have you got for EB and TA leaders to prepare for that future? One nugget of wisdom that you'd like to impart.
Gosh, I just say be prepared for the fact that anything is possible. I think like, at least in the US, it's been a crazy market for jobs and everything possible and a lot of things that nobody really saw coming. So just expect the unexpected.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Erin Mathew, wonderful to have a chat with you.
Thank you so much.